On behalf of the Brookings Metropolitan Policy Program, I want to welcome you to our Baltimore and Beyond panel discussion. But while Baltimore will be a platform for our discussion, we will look beyond Baltimore to focus on what we've learned from years of collective efforts to improve urban and suburban communities around the country.
Today's discussion is focused specifically on the role of place in that opportunity story. Because there's so much concern about the fact that your zip code or the neighborhood you live in has such a major predictor on a person's life outcomes. Now, to convert neighborhoods of poverty to neighborhoods of opportunity takes a village. And so today, we kind of brought you a little mini village.
I went and toured all of the investment that Enterprise had made, 524 homes that we had directly contributed to, and about 250 through Sandtown Habitat for Humanity. And they look better than they looked 20 years ago when we built them. The homeowners were there, they were in great shape, there was no property damage in any of them. There was a beating heart at the center of Sandtown, Winchester. So where Freddie Gray lived was on the outskirts of the area that had been improved dramatically and had the strongest home ownership portion of all of Sandtown, Winchester. And what didn't happen was there wasn't an economic driver that kept that redevelopment going.
I think back, a colleague of mine pointed me to an interview on one of the news stations, and I can't remember which one it is at the moment, but a young man, the reporter turned to the young man, and the young man said, "We are hurting. We are hurting. We are not being listened to." And at that moment, the reporter turned away because he wanted to focus on the riots, right? So that is who we are working with. We are working with young people who are hurting, right? And our goal is not only to help them heal, but to help them become productive, responsible citizens who are not just living in their communities and who are not just part of their families, but they're building their families, they're building their communities, they're becoming leaders.
Equity 20 years ago was provide every service everywhere, and then you provide it to the next person in line. Equity today, in a sense of scarcity, is you had better use your resources where they are most effective. And one of our theories of changes is around those data-advised decision makings for efficient use of resources and amplification of resources. The other is to build from strength.
Since the Great Recession, philanthropic and government investment into these social service organizations is flat at best. We've got to do something a little differently. And one of the things we have to do is realize that good is not good enough, and we have to stop investing in organizations that are counting how many kids went through and not counting real meaningful impact.
One thing I think that we do a lot in government, and that when you're on the ground, it becomes an issue, is that we need to do more doing and less planning. Mm-hmm. Not to say planning is a problem, but if you go into these communities, they have 50 plans, and every year some new group is coming to do a plan, or the city is going to announce a new plan. And they feel that they're essentially planned all the time with nothing ever happening, and it actually is a negative. And from a community perspective, because it creates disillusionment, it makes people feel that, you know, it's the new thing of what we're going to do, but nothing ever comes of it. And I think that sometimes, not to say that we shouldn't be doing planning, but the balance needs to be maybe tilted a little bit.